So what were your impressions of Kaishan Jarrett? Obviously, he had played a little bit there a couple weeks ago, but then really extensive workload this past week.
The thing that's been kind of cool is that we kind of fell into Kaishan playing nickel back in training camp, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Breland got hurt, so we had to juggle some things around. So we kind of, I can't remember when it was, but it was the first week of training camp, and started training him, and he just got better and better and better with it. Played really well against St. Louis, and then played very well again last week. So it's he's an unbelievable kid. He's still a rookie. He's going to make rookie mistakes, but he loves football. He's into it. He's just one of those mature rookies that really works at it. So it was exciting to see. Absolutely.
What is it about his skill set or talents that enable him to do well in that role?
I just think it's more of a mentality than anything, obviously every guy that's on an NFL football field has the skill set, but I just think what he brings to the table is just the bulldog mentality. He's tough. He's got unbelievable work ethic. He's got unbelievable want to. I think he's one of those guys. He was a late round draft pick. So I think he's always working to say, hey, I deserve to be here. So. It's exciting when things like that happen for young players.
Coach, considering that you have young guys that are probably going to get a start, maybe a Quentin Dunbar or someone like that, does it really alter, the way you're going to approach going up against Atlanta's receivers as far as like press coverage or laying off of them?
Yeah. No, I kind of talked about last week when Cully was a question mark. It's, we have a 53-man roster. And we have starters and starters in waiting. So when it's unfortunate that a guy can't go, that next man steps up, and we're going to keep doing what we do, and the train's going to keep rolling, and it's up to that individual to step up and understand that when you're in the huddle as one of the 11, you're a starter.
Obviously, you guys feel really good about him long term, but he's only been a cornerback for a little while now. How comfortable are you with him being in a game at this point in time?
Oh, well, I'd be lying to you if I'd sit up here and say, "Oh no, I'm good. It's fine." He's a young kid that doesn't have a lot of game action. Again, the thing that I fall back to is, that's the reason you have OTAs. That's the reason you have training camp. That's the reason you play 4 preseason games. And he does have that under his belt. So. In that sense, he's been training and preparing. 4 months of training is still relatively new to a new position. But as I mentioned last week, he's got a great skill set. He's long, he can run, and those are good places to start.
Teams now have 4 weeks of tape on Joe Barry as Redskins defensive coordinator. Are you is that the point where you have to start looking and make sure, want to mix things up, make sure you're not getting predictable as things go along?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's, we call it self-scout. You got to self-scout yourself, and everybody does it, whether you have, you self-scout during the preseason. So, but yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that you always have to look at and gauge and make sure that, you're not becoming too predictable in what you do. No different on offense. Obviously, offense coordinators self-scout themselves as well. But we're still a firm believer, too. We're going to do what we do really well. And we're going to do what we've practiced in OTAs and what we've practiced in training camp and what we've practiced in 8 games, 4 preseason and 4 regular seasons. So, but yeah, you always got to make sure that you're staying ahead of the curve as far as self-scouting yourself.
Ryan Kerrigan was a little bit quiet for the first couple weeks. Then he had the 2 really close ones, and then finally got the breakthrough. Was that just a process of him feeling his way through, knocking off rust, not playing in the preseason, or is that pressing too much, or what do you attribute all that to?
Maybe, but Ryan's played a ton of football. I don't know how much. I still stand pretty firm on the decision that the medical staff made with him not playing in the preseason. I don't know how much Ryan Kerrigan's going to get out of playing in the preseason. Still, I still feel good with that. And it's Ryan's playing his butt off. I mean, he really is. He's doing a lot of good things for us. as we've talked before, no one is harder on himself than Ryan Kerrigan. So, yeah, it would have been good to get those two, but it's like when we're at the rec center playing basketball and you get a breakaway and you go up and you clang a layup, and everyone says, "Oh, you can't miss the layup." He missed a couple layups, so hopefully it doesn't happen again.
A lot of the talk after the game Sunday was about Kirk Cousins and the offense on that final drive, but you guys still had to put together a final drive to stop their charge. What was impressive to you about that drive?
Well, I think just the we talked about the word resilient, and our guys were really because we had a brutal third quarter. They hit a couple explosion plays on us, but everyone on the sidelines, everyone through the course of that, stayed the course. We got settled down, and then we had in the fourth quarter we had three huge third down stops. Obviously, the one that Kaishan made the play on to get the ball back for our offense to go on the final drive. So it's football's a crazy sport. I mean, you got to play 60 minutes. It doesn't matter how well you play the first 30. The next 15 you got to finish the game, and our guys, they really showed a lot of resilience as a team. I thought it was pretty cool to see as a team, offense, defense, special teams. That was a great win for the team.
Coach, could you talk a little bit about some key things that you're stressed this coming week facing offensive like Atlanta with a running back like Freeman that catches the ball out the backfield, and also those three great receivers that they've got?
Yeah, kind of like Kaishan is a great example of taking advantage of an opportunity. 24 for them is the same thing. Taking an opportunity and taking advantage of it, and he's played his tail off the last 2 weeks, not only running the ball but catching the ball also. So, and I think obviously number 2, number 11, great players, no doubt about it. But they got a bunch of really good players. I remember I've been going against Roddy White for years. He's a great player. 85, who was here, he's I think third in the league in third down receptions right now. So, they got a bunch of guys across the board, and 24 is no different. And that's what's great about this league. When a guy goes down, a guy gets an opportunity, take advantage of it, and the sky's the limit on what you can do, and he's taking advantage of his opportunity.
Earlier downs, you usually have, I've noticed particularly Kerrigan and Preston Smith standing up, 2-point stance. Passing downs, they're usually basically defensive ends. What are the basic pluses and minuses of lining them up each way?
Well, I think it's just the simple, that's the nice thing about our system is that we have the ability to go 3-4 and we have the ability to go 4 down. Ryan, Trent, Preston, Jackson, all of them obviously when we're in a base 3-4 mentality, they're stand-up outside backers. When we go into a 4 down, they can really line up anywhere. We have the ability to line them up over the guard if we want. And it takes a special type of guy. And I think all 4 of those guys have traits to be able to stand up and rush, drop, whatever. Same thing out of a 3-point. When we get in a 4-man down look, they got the ability to rush, they got the ability to drop. So, and it's nice for us because with having that flexibility, you're able to do a lot of different things with those guys. So, they clearly fit the mold to being able to do both.
Joe, obviously there's only a handful of receivers in the league that have the skill set and the talent of Julio Jones. Yeah. And I know you weren't here last year coaching for it, but I'm sure you're aware of Bashaud Breeland's performance in the first game against Dallas on Des Bryant, who's a similarly talented receiver. Just knowing that, does that give you more confidence if you have to put Breeland on Jones in this game, especially Sure. if Culliver can't go? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Bree had a great game, in that game last year. And yeah, you gotta. The thing about it, you gotta obviously give those great wideouts their due, because they obviously deserve it. They're game changers. But also at the point, you got to be able to, do what you do and not get completely out of whack. But no, I'm glad that we do have a guy like Breeland that has been able to go against top-notch wideouts and perform very well.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, guys.